You are listening to Let's Talk Trio on podcast. Make sure you're following us on all of our social media accounts.
Thank you, Amelia, for that wonderful introduction. Welcome, everyone, to a special episode of Let's Talk Trio. I am Juan Rivas, host of Let's Talk Trio. In this episode, the podcast was invited to participate and cover the Trio Day event in Denver on February 22nd. We had the fortune to sit in the Legislative House of Colorado to hear the Trio programs get recognized for all the wonderful work they do. It was great getting to hear the stories, the students, staff, and alumni that wanted to share so passionately about what they went through their journey from high school to post-secondary education. I wish we had more time to record all of the stories that were present in the room. Fortunately, many of Trio's participants during the event offered to be interviewed in March, so be on the lookout for those episodes. I want to thank the Colorado chapter of Aspire, CCA, for inviting us to be part of the event. We were very fortunate to celebrate Trio Day along with many of the Trio programs across the great state of Colorado. So this was a very good kind of testing the waters for us to cover events like this, like Trio Day. We were very fortunate. My crew and I, we were just really happy. I know part of the crew was there because they needed to be there. And so shout out to both my crew members for still taking the time, still being there, and helping me put this podcast together. John and Amelia, you are an amazing team. We're an amazing team, and just wanted to say thank you to them. A huge shout out to John Russell, who sifted through 4 hours of recording and a lot of audio information. He sat through all of that, edited and pared down our overall podcast for it not to be so overwhelming to our audience. We only clipped it to make sure that we gave you the best of the information. And again, this episode was very inspirational. I felt as listening to the stories, listening to the Trio speakers, and listening to the house and Trio programs being recognized, it was a great opportunity to really listen in. Please enjoy this podcast that we worked really hard to put together. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. And I'll see you at the end.
Welcome, listeners, to the podcast for Let's Talk Trio. We are sitting live at the House chamber listening into legislative action. We're waiting for recognition for Trio Day.
The House of Representatives, convening in the 72nd General Assembly, hereby extend sincere commendations to Trio programs. Trio federal outreach and student services programs have been assisting low-income individuals, first-generation college students, and individuals with disabilities in furthering their education for over 40 years. Trio includes 8 programs that provide valuable educational services to Colorado residents looking to progress through the academic pipeline from middle school to post-baccalaureate programs. It also includes a training program for directors and staff of Trio projects. The members of the Colorado House of Representatives extend sincere commendations to Trio programs and are proud to recognize and thank Trio program staff for their hard work. We wish those students involved in the programs the best of luck in their future honorable endeavors. On request of Representative Damon given this 22nd day of February 2019, State Capitol in Denver.
Representative Escar.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and members, thanks for your attention. I know sometimes when I come down here with a tribute, you all assume it's something about Pueblo. So this is partly about Pueblo, but also I wouldn't be remiss if you all understood that there's probably constituents of your own here today. There's over 100 people here today in the gallery and some on the floor over here who are here to celebrate what Trio programs do. And before I came to the legislature, one of the best jobs I ever had was a academic advisor for Upward Bound, which is one of the programs through Trio that helps high school students who are the first in their family to go to college find that pathway forward and succeed not only in graduating high school, but getting into and graduating from college as well. Is the most rewarding job I've ever had in my entire life. And I can't say enough about these amazing programs. The people who work for these programs and the students themselves who stand up and say, yes, I'm going to take that help and I'm going to succeed. So just on behalf of your entire General Assembly, thank you all for being here today. Thank you for the work you do, and best of luck at all of the successes in your life. Thank you.
House has formally put forth
Thank you, Trio,
Trio
for
Day.
joining us at the Capitol today.
So again, this is the Let's Talk Trio podcast. We are here in Denver, Colorado, at the state capitol, waiting to hear reactions from other participants, alumni, staff members, and students to see what they thought about the recognition for Trio Day. Hey, y'all. Been up here on the podcast?
Yeah.
Well, I want to get any initial reactions to the House bill that was introduced. What did y'all think?
Yeah, they were just continuing to recognize the work that has been done and the initiatives being done in the state especially, but also nationally for students and by a lot of hardworking staff around the state, the country, and the different TRIO programs to continue to support on a Colorado legislative level the work and the importance of continuing to do that work. And so I was definitely glad to see that they made that acknowledgement and are continuing to offer support towards TRIO programs in the state.
Now, Mitch, you're a staff member at the Academic Advancement Center?
Yes, yeah, it's a Student Support Services TRIO program on CSU, Colorado State's campus.
How does it feel to have that support from the Colorado legislature to have that recognition for TRIO?
It feels good. It feels like we do frequently try to advocate and fight for TRIO programs to continue to exist. Sometimes there's direct sort of either competition in education funding to that or kind of concerns around the necessity of that. And it's good to see that there's a lot of legislators in the House that are fully in support of continuing TRIO programs, working towards access and advancement and success for students from different backgrounds, low-income, first-gen, or students with disabilities, continuing to work to recognize the importance of enrollment and presence and access and success of those students is empowering.
Cool. Thank you very much, Mitch. I appreciate you being on the podcast, man.
Yes, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you. Now, this is the podcast's first time being at the state capitol. This is our first Trio Day event. We are very fortunate to have been invited and to be guests here at the capitol, as well as being with the Trio programs, various programs here, but chief among them, kind of closer to the heart, the Colorado State University Trio programs also making their presence known here.
Quickly, I wanted to congratulate you.
Oh, thank you.
I listened to the podcast of Castaneda and Paul and Maryland. I'm like, oh my God, that was so amazing.
They were awesome. They were excellent. Yeah, it was. They did all the work. It was.
And I know
just a
them
great
all,
group.
so I could feel like I could see their faces and stuff in my
Yeah.
mind.
Oh, that's
But
so cool.
I just want to listen to it over and over and over again, especially when I get like overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm about to do an interview with Kacelyn here. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Kacelyn?
You said Juan, right?
Yeah, my name is
Okay.
Juan. Yeah.
Okay.
So where are you from?
I'm from Edwards,
Okay.
Eagle area.
Okay.
But I moved here from California about 9 years ago.
About 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Right on.
Mhm.
So what Trio program are you a participant from?
The Edward campus at Colorado Mountain College.
Right on. Well, welcome to the podcast.
Okay.
We are recording. I just wanted to. So I'm going to ask you some basic, simple questions. There is a waiver that I will have you sign off here later, and we'll edit all that stuff out. So some standard questions for you is, what inspired you to pursue your college education?
I actually originally got pregnant when I was 15. High school was already hard, as it is, being a young teenager. Then I got pregnant. I eventually realized that, being a single mom, I'm going to have to pursue a higher education eventually. And
Yeah.
so already being in the situation I was, high school took me 4 years. I couldn't get it, reduced any. But I ended up graduating with my diploma. First in my whole entire family to ever graduate with a diploma.
Amazing.
In high school.
Congratulations, yeah.
Thank you. And then I started my first year in college and realized, you know what? I need to find a career that's going to, one, support me and my daughter, but also something I can really enjoy.
Absolutely.
And that's where it all started when I got pregnant.
Okay, and so how did you find the Trio programs, and where did they find you?
Yeah, I walked in one day, seen these Trio posters, had no clue what it was about.
Yeah.
walked into the trio office because someone was like, oh, talk to this person, you're first generation, you might want to talk to her. I have no clue why I'm talking to this person, but that sounds great.
Yeah.
So I went into her office, sat down with her, she started asking me some questions, and I realized that this was a support system for college students who don't have that at home or don't have that, just in daily life. And it was really nice to just be able to sit there and talk to someone who was ready and prepared to help me with all the information and tools I needed.
That's amazing. I think the support that TRIO provides to students is wonderful.
Oh, yes.
Can you identify specific people in the TRIO programs that helped you out?
Yes, Catherine. She has been the best person I have ever met. She truly has the most kindest heart. She truly has a compassion for helping students that need it, and she doesn't even blink an eye, and she helps. She just does it, and she goes for it. I came to her, and I had a lot of health problems, and I just needed someone to understand and help me with my schedule. She sat down and was ready to take it on by the horns and just help me with whatever I needed.
That's amazing.
So it was awesome. She's the best.
So give us an update. What are you currently doing now?
I am finishing my last semester with all my credits for the nursing program through CMC. I am going to be applying in February of 2020, and hopefully going to be able to start in fall of 2020. Awesome. And I'm going for my associates for 2 years, declaring an associates, and then going to get a job, but also going back for my bachelor's, but doing it all online. So I could be able to work, be a mom, and go to school.
Wow, that keeps you busy.
Yes, it
awesome.
does. I'm never bored.
Yeah. Well, Kacelyn, thank you very much for stopping by the podcast. We really appreciate you sharing your story with the audience. And we'll have to keep in touch. So we have Damon in the podcast. Damon, thank you very much for being part of the program. Can you tell us a little bit about you and your background?
So I was actually very fortunate. I got to start TRIO early. I started TRIO my freshman year of high school, actually. And,
oh, really?
I always kind of knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to go to college just because neither one of my parents graduated high school, so even graduating high school was just a big accomplishment for me.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they just kind of helped me point in the direction of college and, where to start and building a resume and being able to get community experiences that I wouldn't have if I hadn't been with TRIO, and I'm thankful for that, and they helped put me leaps and bounds above my classmates with all different sorts of things.
Okay, tell us a little bit about the TRIO program you were involved with. What TRIO program was it, and who sponsored it?
So I was a part of TRIO Upward Bound over in Garfield County, which is west of here, and our rifle CMC kind of helped put it on, and so we were our monthly programs were put on there, and we learned resume building, work skills, study skills, how to get letters of recommendation, how to write emails, just kind of how to talk to people. And some of our sponsors included Chris Ann Crow, and Messinia, and they just really helped build that community and make sure that whatever you were doing next you were ready for, whether it be college or a trade school, just making sure that you were ready to get there.
Right on. So you went through Upward Bound the 4 years of high school. After you graduated, did you have a college specifically in mind? Did you want to go somewhere?
I originally wanted to try to attend the University of Northern Colorado over in Greeley, but with TRIO Upward Bound, I realized with their help that it was a little harder to obtain that goal at that time of graduation. So they continued to point me in the direction of Colorado Mountain College, and at first, for the first couple of years, I was kind of skeptic because I was like, oh, like that's just the easy college everyone gets into, like it's just the acceptance college. And then as I looked at financial aid and how much I was getting, it turned out to be more reasonable to start out there and transfer than to try to do 4 years over at UNC.
Right on. So what did you end up majoring in, or what did you end up studying?
I am studying my bachelor's of mathematics with an emphasis in secondary education.
That's amazing. And so you're planning to teach mathematics at the end of all this. All right, right on. Awesome.
Can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to go into that field?
So I've always been very analytical, and my head has always worked well with numbers. So throughout, middle school and high school, I knew I wanted to do something with mathematics, but I was lucky enough to have a teacher for 3 years that really showed me, what teaching mathematics is like, and how that can affect students' lives, and how teachers just affect students' lives. Yeah. And I really decided that, I wanted to make that impact on another kid's life. I wanted to be, the reason a kid pursued a field, or, they made it through middle school, they made it through high school. I wanted to make that impact for myself.
Well, Damon, that's amazing. That's an amazing story, and the story that you have will certainly carry over into your teaching. I know students will be very inspired to hear from where you come from all the way to what you've done. That's certainly an inspirational story.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being on the podcast. Well, Monica, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you very much, John.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us in the podcast.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about yourself and what brings you to Trio Day.
Okay, so a little bit about myself. I'm originally from Minnesota. I was born in California, raised in Minnesota. Both my parents are from Mexico City.
Okay.
Both of them did not finish college. My mom finished high school, and I don't think my dad did. What brings me to Trio Day is, well, let me start at the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
My friend ended up moving to Colorado, and she was like, want to come down here? And I said yes, and so I ended up in Colorado, checked out this school, looked up cheap schools in Colorado. First one I clicked on was CMC.
CMC, okay.
Didn't even know, and started looking at what they had, and I saw that Steamboat Springs had a culinary restaurant management degree.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, Mom, I don't know where this place is, but I'm going to Colorado. Don't know where Steamboat is. Didn't know it was a ski town.
Yeah. And very quickly for our audience, what is CMC?
Colorado Mountain College.
Okay.
Yep, sorry. So I get there, and I remember my parents weren't able to go with me. We couldn't request time off to go from work. So my best friend who had invited me to Colorado came with me. She was my parent.
Okay.
And I remember it was a very emotional day because I saw everybody with their parents, and everybody was just like easy to, paying and whatever, and I get to the counselor and the financial aid lady, and I just remember bawling my eyes out and being like, how am I going to pay for this? I have to give you how much now? What do you mean? And then my parents weren't there to physically support me or mentally or whatever. They just weren't there, and I was like, oh my God. And this angel, Brian Hosa, who no longer works with us at Colorado Mountain College, was like, hey, I want to take you somewhere. It's this program called Trio. I think that they can probably try to help you out, figure things out. And he starts asking me questions like, are you first generation? Did your parents go to school? This and that. And I was just like, no, I don't think so. And just like a hot mess. And he brings me to the Trio Center. And from there, my life has completely changed for the best. I met Lori Morano, there was 2 Trio coordinators there, so I hadn't met Amy, who's my coordinator now, and I got in contact with Lori, and she made it work. Everything was like, it's gonna be fine, we're gonna figure it out, don't worry, we'll get you in Trio. And wow, if I would have not met Brian at that moment and then had him taken me to Trio, I don't think I would have went to Colorado Mountain College, really, just because it was just so overwhelming, and being like, how am I going to make this happen?
Right.
And my parents not really knowing how to, although I know that they really wanted to help, they just didn't know how to approach any of this because it's all foreign to them. So I have been in Trio for 4 years now.
4 years, okay.
Yep,
awesome.
4 years. I just graduated, I just finished with my associates in culinary restaurant management, and now I'm pursuing my bachelor's.
Awesome.
And I met Amy, and she has been a second mom, a mentor, an amazing advisor. She's an amazing human being who I'm just super happy to have met her and have her in my life, and she does so much for all her students. It kind of, I don't want to get too sappy, I'm going to start crying,
okay.
but Wow, what an amazing program, really. Just and they put their heart and soul into that, and I see that with Amy every day and how she puts everything into her students and wants to see them succeed and truly, genuinely cares. And it's a really cool program, and it's really cool to have people that are there and wanting to see you succeed and do amazing. And all so now we're here in Trio.
Yeah.
And now I also had the opportunity to be part of the Trio team, so now I'm an administrative assistant for the SSS1.
Right on.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
It's super cool. Yeah. So that's my story.
That's amazing. So what did you think of Trio Day as a whole, being in the event and having the House legislator recognize Trio Day and Trio programs?
Super cool. I think it was an amazing event. I had never been to the Capitol, nor have I ever been involved in like the political world.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see how all that happens and goes down, and just felt really proud to have them recognize like Trio is amazing. Let's support Trio. And I was like, yes.
That's amazing.
To be honest, I was a little confused with like the dialect. I was like, what's going on here? But it was really cool overall.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what's some words of advice or words of wisdom that you want to share with our audience about Trio programs, or even persisting or being resilient in college?
Words of wisdom: seek out Trio. And if you're in high school, seek out Upward Bound, because they really are there to help you, to hold your hand, to guide you through all of the endeavors of college and more.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I think that, and continue. Like, life is really hard sometimes, and I think that life is just preparing us for greater things. So just don't give up. Keep going forward.
Well, Monica, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Yeah.
So we just had a conversation with Monica, who is a Trio alum and currently a Trio staff member.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you being on the podcast. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Juan. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure. Would you like both to go? That would be cool. Or just one? Okay. Hi, my name is Juan.
My name is Dio.
Dio? Yeah. Have a seat. So your name again for me?
Dio.
Dio? Now, are you here representing Upward Bound?
Yeah.
All right. From what school?
From Westminster High School.
Westminster High School here in Denver?
Yeah, Westminster.
Oh, from Westminster, obviously. Sorry, my bad. So can you tell us about your participation with the Upward Bound program? How are you liking it, and what are you doing there?
I like it. Well, what I do for the program is what's helping me in the program is I'm getting a lot of academic support and a lot of academic help in school, like whether it's like tutoring and sometimes even like personal help. And I'm taking advantage of a lot of the clubs or programs they mentioned to me. Like they've mentioned this group called La Raza Youth Leadership Program, and I started to participate in that, and also robotics club, which they also mentioned to me, which I also participated in. So I think I just participate in a lot of the things they say.
Awesome, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And what currently year are you in high school?
I'm a sophomore.
You're a sophomore?
Yeah.
And are you currently looking at a lot of colleges that you want to apply to? Is there any particular colleges that you would like to go to?
I'm choosing between UNC or CSU.
All right, so UNC and CSU.
Yeah.
Two very good colleges. Mm-hmm. And what inspired those decisions? Why those colleges?
We took a field trip during the summer to them, and I just thought, and I want to take engineering when I'm older. So at UNC, they said they had a good engineering program, and I also want to take like Mexican American studies, and they have a good program there too. So it was just a field trip that made me want to try and choose those two.
So you would say that it was very important for you to be on those campuses and really get a feel for how they are. Right?
Yeah.
Very cool. Does your Upward Bound program also do a summer program as well?
Yeah, they do a summer program. After school's out, we go to Front Range Community College where we take some classes to make sure we don't forget everything that we learned from school in the summer, and then we take a road trip to different colleges, and we spend a night in dorms and see like what options they have at those colleges.
Yeah. So you get a really feel for those colleges, and you get a feel for what dorm life is like.
Yeah.
And that college prep is really important. Being in your sophomore year, what other things have you been preparing for as you're approaching junior and senior year?
I'm applying for a lot of scholarships.
That's good.
And, like exploring careers that I can do now.
Yeah.
To help me in the future.
Yeah. And what would you say are the careers that you're leaning toward right now?
Just probably mechanical engineering.
Mechanical engineering, right on. Well, Dio, thank you very much for being on the podcast.
Yeah.
Are there any words of wisdom or anything that you would say to a high school student who is thinking about joining Upward Bound or maybe joining a TRIO program?
I would say just to somebody, don't be shy, because we have a lot of people to support you, and you have a lot of people to talk to if you have problems.
Right on. Well, thank you very much for being on the podcast. Thank you. I have another TRIO participant coming to the podcast. Anahi, welcome.
How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
So we have the full disclosure with the audience.
Okay.
Anahi saw me at the state legislature, and at first, I couldn't make the connection. And you're like, you were my professor, and then it clicked. Yeah. That's Anahi! Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I saw you. You came in, and I was like, oh, that's him. And yeah, I was like, no, I'm gonna have to say hi.
Yeah.
And you were sitting next to my friends too, and I was like, okay, yeah, even better. So I kind of made the move that I needed my notebook to get closer, and I was like, so it was just kind of in reality, I wanted to get close up, to see, and I saw it, and I was like, yeah, that's Juan, that's Mr. Juan, yeah.
Well, it's good to see you again.
Thank you, likewise.
And so you're here for TRIO Day.
Yes.
You shared with me that you're part of the TRIO program.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your story. After, so I taught public speaking.
Yes.
And then you graduated.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that after all that.
Perfect. Okay. So yes, like you mentioned, it was a senior year, my first semester that you taught public speaking. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I had you. Okay. After that, I graduated, and then 2017, and then I'm going to Metropolitan State University. Right now I'm a sophomore, so it's been 2 years since.
Wow, that long already.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. And so at the beginning of my sophomore year, I joined TRIO. Mm-hmm. And then there's a program that the TRIO has, and it's called Advocates of TRIO. Mm-hmm. And so within that, I joined it too. So I'm in TRIO. And then I have a program that advocates for TRIO,
That's
basically.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Yes, And what that program does basically, they do volunteering things. They go out, they do activities, and they're more involved with the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how you found TRIO.
Okay.
How did that happen?
So it was the beginning of my freshman year. There was an orientation, a Spanish orientation, and there was a lot of people that I saw, a lot of freshmen that were barely going into school, and then I met a guy, his name's Carlos, and so we went. Turns out that when we started school, he had a math class with me, and he was like, hey, do you remember me? I'm from the orientation. And I was like, oh, awesome, okay. And so from there, he was like, oh, Kathia, I joined it. So I found it from him. And then that's how I was like, all right, cool. So I joined, and then that's just how I found out about it. So it was just my mutual friends that were in it already.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you were already kind of connected to it, and
yes,
you had mutual friends that have been through the program.
Yeah.
What have been some highlights for you as far as being in the program? What have you liked about it?
I think it's just overall the community. It's amazing. It's awesome how we all help and support each other, and it's just beautiful how if you need a shoulder to cry on, if you need advice, everyone is there for you, and everyone gets involved. There's no one that's left out. So it's probably the highlight of it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
There's a lot more though, but
no,
that's
absolutely.
just
Tell me a favorite memory of your experience in TRIO.
So we've done a few things for example, we do breakfast once a month, and we change it off, certain groups do it. Okay. And then that's awesome. It's really cool. Something that the Advocates of TRIO have done, they've gone out and they've done lunches for homeless too.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
They've joined, they've helped out Girl Scouts. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Change for Change, which is basically the department of TRIO. They bake something, and then they put it on the table, for example, cookies, and then someone comes in and then they put coins, and then they get a cookie. So that's how they fundraise. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And what are you working toward? So the audience wants to know, what are you currently working toward?
what's your major, and what are you hoping to do with that major?
So right now, my major is English, but I'm majoring in English to be a secondary education teacher.
That's awesome.
So it's a high school teacher, yes.
Yes.
And I also have an added endorsement, ESL. So it's English secondary language, and that's for all the students who English is not their first language.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited about that. Yeah.
That is super important.
Education.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're in your second year.
Second year,
and,
sophomore.
you still have 2 more years to go,
2 more years.
approximately.
Uh-huh.
What are some words of wisdom that you would want to share with a college student that is currently enrolled, first generation, they have no idea where they're going or they have no direction? What would you say to them?
Yeah, definitely. If they're first generation, that's a big thing. So TRIO has 3 different requirements to be able to get in. One of them is low income. The second one is for first generation and for disabled people. So TRIO helps all of those. So if you're first generation and you don't know what to do, definitely look that up, TRIO. And they have advisors, and it's beautiful. Like I mentioned, they will support you in everything.
Yeah, awesome.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So any last kind of things that you want to say to our podcast audience that's listening to you and listening to your passion about college and how important that is?
I think I would just say, so TRIO also what they do is they, like I mentioned, advocates of TRIO, they've gone out and they've helped. I think there's a show, it's called What Would You Do? I don't know if you've heard of it.
I've heard of this show, yeah.
Okay, so there's a specific episode where a man helps out a family, and he says, a small act of kindness can have a ripple that can change the world. So I think what I would tell to everyone is, remember, kindness is the key.
Yes.
And that's what
Very
TRIO
cool.
does too as well. It's kindness, and by helping one person, that can change a whole. It changes, it's a ripple. It causes a ripple.
I agree. Awesome. Well, hopefully you're enjoying the TRIO Day celebrations here.
Thank you.
And the House legislature. So I wanted to get your reaction on that one as well. What do you think about being recognized for the TRIO programs, to be recognized in the House at the state of Colorado?
Oh, that's awesome. It's great. I love the fact that they're including us. They mentioned it, and it's awesome because I'm in it, and it's like they said it, and it was like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah. It's very inspirational.
Mm-hmm.
Anahi, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank
Maybe
you.
in the future I'll get you in the podcast episode and we could just talk for an hour and catch up. So
that's awesome.
It was good seeing you. Yeah. So I have the president of the CCA, Allie. Thank you so much for joining us in the podcast.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about what CCA is and what its involvement with TRIO?
Sure. So CCA stands for the Colorado chapter of Aspire, which is basically our Aspire chapter, which is our larger regional chapter, has other states. Basically, our job is to network, we create a community of resources. It's an ability to really work with other professionals, also that work in TRIO professions, and to talk about problem solve, and to share best practices on what we can do to make our programs better. And it's also it's an advocacy arm, and so how do we advocate for more funding? How do we advocate for what our students really need for our programs? And so I think it has a lot of roles, and it plays a lot of different parts in order to help our membership, professional membership develop and grow.
Okay. I really want to commend you and your organization because the state legislature, the House, recognized TRIO Day. I want to get your reaction to that and see what you thought about it.
You know, it's so awesome for the state to recognize us in that capacity, since, TRIO programs are federally funded programs. But I think the state recognizes the important role that we play in higher education in general. The TRIO program has been around for, since the 60s. And the fact is that we're still around and we're making a huge impact. There's been lots of programs like TRIO programs that have, come and gone. Yeah. And TRIO has outlasted that, and that comes from lots of different reasons. But part of it is because our TRIO programs work. And state legislators like to see programs that work. They like to know that what they're lobbying for, what they're doing, the efforts they're putting forward is worth it. And I think at the state level, it's really important because higher education is governed at a state level. And so it's important for them to see how programs work well and the impacts of their decisions and how that has a ripple effect to our students in our programs. Yeah.
Right on. So, also, I was made aware as you were coming to do your interview / feedback for the podcast. You said your parents were part of the TRIO program.
Yeah. So I didn't find out my parents were part of the TRIO program until my mom actually. So I was a special ed teacher. And I used to, in college, I used to work for her. She works in higher ed. And I used to work for her in my summers in college. My friends and I used to work for her. We used to work at a call center on her campus and used to funnel all the calls that ever got made to that school. So really great job because we were able to like touch financial aid. We were learning about financial aid. We were learning about transfer stuff. So it was a great job. And I missed higher ed, and so I was a special ed teacher, and she said, TRIO program, advisor just opened up, you should apply for it. And I was like, what's TRIO? And she's like, oh, well, let me tell you about TRIO.
And she sat down and had a huge talk about TRIO.
She said, it's so important, I think you would love it. SSS especially works with students with disabilities. That's one of the identities that we can take into our program. And so with my special ed background, she said, I think you would love it. And so I applied, and that's when she kind of told me, like, I'm a TRIO alumni. And so I said, oh, what? And then she said, so is your dad. She said we were in different programs, but they really helped us. So both my parents grew up very low income in Southern Colorado, Trinidad, and they both commend like TRIO programs being the reason they felt like they could go to college, and that they had some people that they could rely on to mentor them and that cared about them. And they talked about similar sentiments that were said today about feeling like they were part of a family. And so I said, wow, and that, it's so interesting, like, those were in the 60s, and there's still same feelings of people talking about the program to this day. So it's, so it's amazing. So it feels really rewarding to work in this profession for multiple reasons, but one of them is because my family has directly been impacted by the programs.
That's amazing. And congratulations on you being president. So you're the outgoing president of CCA,
I am the
correct?
Outgoing, yes.
Okay.
Yes, my term will end in October when the new president officially takes over, which is Aaron Lucero, and then I'll be past president. So I'll still serve on the board for 1 year as past president, but I will have probably a limited role or whatever role Aaron wants me to have on it. But that's kind of what's going on there.
And I want to congratulate you for the event itself, well organized, and thank you for having us here as well to record stories and hear from alumni as well. Any kind of final parting words before we kind of conclude your portion of the podcast?
Sure, I just want to thank the membership and all the work of the individuals in Colorado and I guess throughout the U.S. that choose to take on a profession that they know will be challenging as we are trying to dismantle systems of oppression for our students. And we know that higher education was not made for low-income, first-generation, and students with disabilities. And so we are constantly having to fight for our students on multiple levels. And it's just so amazing to be around and work with people that truly care about taking our students and our future to the next level. So it's been an honor to serve as your president. I will continue to have an active role on the board moving forward, and in any capacity, right? Like, we don't have to be on the board to still be a leader for our membership, but it has definitely been a wonderful experience for me, and I have loved every moment of it, and I appreciate everyone voting me into this position.
Fantastic. Allie, thank you so much for all the work you do and for putting all of this together.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Thanks, friends.
Hi. My name is Juan.
Kathia.
Kathia?
Yeah.
All right, Kathia, nice to meet you. have a seat. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
Awesome. How are you liking the Trio Day event so far?
Oh, I love it.
Right
Great
on.
experience.
So where are you from, and what Trio program do you represent?
Well, I was born in Central Africa.
Okay.
But then I grew up in Senegal.
Okay.
Yeah, because Central Africa, there was some problems over there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
And then I came here in 2009. And I've been here since. I started the Trio program last year.
A 2-year program.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, I
Awesome.
was in school for a while, but I wasn't able to participate until last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and how did you get involved with the Trio programs?
Someone in the school told me about it.
Yeah.
I went and talked to Kathleen.
Okay.
Yeah, and then she told me everything about it, and I was thinking, wow, if we had this in high school, it would be really nice.
Right.
Because if we our parents didn't go to college, and while we were graduating, and we didn't know much of what to expect in college and everything.
Yeah.
So I thought it was nice.
Right on.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you joined the Trio programs, and were you kind of already expecting, you knew what they were about, or?
Only when I sat down and talked to Kathleen.
Okay.
And she explained everything.
Right.
Yeah. And then she talked about how they will help with tutoring, or if we need to talk about anything.
Yeah.
And then also help with mentoring, and also with a scholarship and everything.
That's awesome. And how did you enjoy being in Trio so far? What do you like about it?
I love that I get to talk to other students
Right
who
on.
also have struggles. That it makes me understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though we don't have the same problems, it still makes me understand what other people are going through, and makes me stronger.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And are you currently in a degree program, or currently studying for a specific field?
I'm studying business right now.
Business?
Trying to get my associate of business.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you plan to do with your business degree?
Well, at first I want to start a retail.
Retail?
Yeah.
Okay.
Based on clothing. I mean, just for the beginning. But then in the future I could do more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have any kind of words of wisdom for students that are either trying to get into college or trying to figure out the whole college process? What would you tell them?
I would say don't give up. It could be hard at the beginning, and it's okay to not know what to do at first.
Yeah.
But then just take your time, take classes like English and math classes at first until you figure out what to do. And you can also start in your community colleges before going to a big university.
Okay.
It helps a lot.
I think it does too, right?
Yeah.
When you start off at a community college, save some money, and then transfer over to a 4-year.
Yeah.
Right on. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Did you want to have anything else to say, or did you want to share anything else on the podcast?
Well, one more thing I want to say is that sometimes during when you are working and then going to school, and there are some days where you feel depressed and everything.
Sure.
I also talk to other students where they feel like depressed some days and they can't do anything.
Yeah.
Just don't give up.
Right on.
Like when you're feeling like that, just get some rest and then come back.
Right on.
Don't give up.
That's a good piece of advice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Who'd like to go next?
Hi, I'll go next.
Absolutely. Have a seat.
Thank you.
My name is Juan.
Hi, Juan.
What's your name?
I'm Tia.
Tia.
Yes.
Nice to meet you. Thank you
Nice
for being
to
on the
meet you.
podcast.
Yes, you're welcome. My real name is Nestia. But I just go by Tia.
But you go by Tia. Right on. So tell us a little bit about where you're from, like from the Denver area, from Colorado, or you're from elsewhere, and share us a little bit about your educational journey.
Okay, cool. So I'm from Greeley, Colorado, born and raised. That's
Awesome.
where Ames is. My educational journey has been crazy.
Yeah?
Not even just college, but everything that led me to college. So when I was little, everything was good. I was very unstable. My parents were always moving. So I probably went to 4 different elementary schools, and I went to 2 different middle schools. And then when I got to high school, my mother and I had like an altercation, and she wasn't in my life anymore. So
I'm
it
so
was
sorry to hear
just
that.
me and my dad. Yeah, he was awesome. He was like my best friend and just biggest cheerleader. And when I got to high school, I went to Windsor High School and I graduated there. And when I got there, I said, I don't want to move any more schools. Like, I want to be stable. I want to like get right on track, because having to move so many schools and be unstable is like, it puts like dents in like education, I think. Like,
it does, yeah.
So you have to make new friends, and then you may be learning one material at this place, and then the other place may be different. And so I just wanted something more stable. I wanted my education to be secure.
Yeah.
And my life as well. I wanted everything to be reflected of security, because I never had that. And so when I got to college, things just got so much more like secure with my education, because it was just stable.
Yeah.
So
you had a consistency, right?
yeah, I had consistency. And like I knew about TRIO before I even went to college, so I had applied and everything before. And it's just been so awesome. Like, it's seriously like my second family.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say second family. I would just say like they're my family.
They're your family. Oh, that's awesome. So tell us a little bit. So what is the TRIO program you ended up joining?
What do you mean, like TRIO STEM?
Yeah, it's TRIO STEM. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a STEM student. My major is horticulture, business management, and so that's STEM. And Alfredo Haro's my advisor, and I don't know what do you want to know?
No, tell me a little bit more like about your TRIO journey, like how you've liked it and what they've done for you to help you succeed.
Okay, so we've just gone on so many field trips, and as I said earlier, I needed a botany credit, and Ames doesn't have a botany class. And me and my advisor were like, all right, like, what are we gonna do? Like, I need this credit.
Yeah, you're gonna need it somehow.
And so we checked around and checked in my options, and I found out that Front Range had it, but Front Range I can't split my financial aid at 2 community colleges. And so we found this like low-key, a friend told me about this low-key thing called like the Ames to CSU transfer agreement. And me and Alfredo like had to jump through so many hoops to get like it all figured out. And I was like, he's like, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to do this? And he's like, we've never really had somebody like pursue this before. This is all new. And I was like, no, like we're gonna do it. Yeah. And like it just took so much, both of our efforts. Like we were calling people, we were filling out papers, I had to get different documents, and like for a couple months we were just trying to get this in place, and it all worked out so well. And like I feel like if I didn't have Alfredo there to back me up and to be that support, to tell me like, all right, if you want to do this, like I got your back. Yeah. And if I didn't have that, then I wouldn't have got my credit, I wouldn't have been exposed. Like I was able to go to CSU before I even got to CSU. Yeah. So that's super cool, and I think that's like one of my biggest like TRIO moments. Like that was like, wow, like TRIO's the bomb.
Yeah, TRIO is amazing. TRIO has several amazing programs.
Yeah, and just going on like the transfer visits and just all the field trips that we do, it just really gets us involved, and it's so cool. Like I can't stress enough the support of like the family, because as I mentioned earlier, like my family was always so unstable, and school always seemed to be like my safe place. And like even when I was younger, like TRIO keeps me in check, because like I can be ornery sometimes. And when I was younger, I was always like in trouble because my family was so unstable. So when I went to school, I would just act out or be bad. But I changed, you know. I wanted something different. I wanted that like to be good and to do good. And I realized you don't have to act out to get support or get love, or you know, or to care about your education. And I'm just so proud, because I know that my dad would be so proud of me for doing all this stuff. Like I'm first gen, and he was like a single parent, so he's like no longer with us. But yeah, it's been awesome, and I'm sad that I'm leaving my community college TRIO. Like it's this like sad feeling, but even the TRIO from CSU people are here, and they're mad cool already, and so it's cool, and they'll just always be in my heart. And yeah, they fed me when I had no food, and I know, I could just go on and on and on about
No,
Trio.
that's great. Yeah, it's good to hear about those great stories that students bring about Trio programs. So it's good to hear everything that's worked out for you and how much they advocated on your behalf as well.
Yes.
So what was your reaction for the state legislator? You've participated in the state capitol. How did you enjoy that experience?
I was so thankful and appreciative that we had the opportunity to come out here and see what's kind of going on, because I think today's society is so, I don't want to say brainwashed, but is so maybe sometimes ignorant or doesn't really understand like all this political stuff, and there's so much drama and all these things that are so negative. But sitting there like and seeing them appreciate like all the Gold Star families, the wives and the families who have lost people who have fought for this country and who have pride and patriotism. I think that's the right word. Yeah, it was just really cool to see there's love and appreciative. And what I'm like very spiritual. I was like raised Catholic. I don't know if I'm like, I guess I'm considered Catholic, but I like love God and like Jesus and everything. And it was really cool for them to start off the whole thing with like a prayer and you know, with just so much love. Like it's not all like super political and crazy, but it's weird. There's all these lines and all this controversy with like politics and stuff, but I think seeing it firsthand at like what they're doing to actually help like education is great. And it's cool to see that it's like sealed spiritually, and you know, it's on our money anyways, like in God we trust. So I think that was really cool, and I really like that they brought the kids up to say the Pledge of Allegiance. That was really cool too. I haven't said that in so long, so I love saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I value my patriotism as an American, and I'm just proud to be a female, and I'm proud to be alongside all these great people who are educators and advocates, and being a part of Trio and STEM. It's just opened my eyes, and this is seriously just the beginning of my life and my educational journey, and I couldn't have done it without Trio being my spine.
Awesome. So what's next for Tia?
Oh my gosh, that's such a huge question. I have so much in store, so much in store. Like I said, I'm a horticulture student, and I've gained experience with horticulture, and I'll always like grow fruit and vegetables and stuff like that, but I've got exposed to other agriculture avenues, and that's the fiber industry, specifically hemp in Colorado. I've just recently learned how to sew like in under a month, and I've been designing clothes out of hemp, and I had my first fashion show, and it was so cool because the day I like finished my stuff, I took it in and I went up to my Trio office and I told everybody, come over here to this room, and I showed them, and they were just like so proud of me, and they were just like, oh my gosh. And my advisor Alfredo showed up at the fashion show, so I want to continue designing clothes. I want to study textile fabrics. I love being in Colorado. Everyone's like, hey, are you gonna move to like New York or California or LA? And I'm just like, no, like I would love to go travel. Like I want to travel. I want to go to New York. I want to go to LA. I want to go to Paris. I want to go to Italy. But I feel like I can be successful and bring all of that to Colorado and use hemp specifically for couture fashion or something that if you like have a super important business meeting like today, and you're like, all right, Tia, like I want this like teal suit with like a black stitch and this some sort of tie and the whole outfit. Like I want to be able to do it so that no one has what you have. Right on. And it's like I want to bring out people's individuality while still it's still agriculture, which is so cool. Like I'm not horticulture, and I'm switching my major to apparel and design, but fiber and all the clothes that we're wearing was once grown on a plant or an animal per se. And I'm just taking a different avenue, and I feel like without any of my experience and my support, I wouldn't have found what I'm more passionate about, and I feel like that's more aligned with my authentic self, and
that's awesome.
That's all I see in my future, is to keep continuing to be my authentic self and focusing on people who support me and love me and appreciate me, and that's all I want to see. You know, I've seen a lot, and I know there's people out there who have had it worse, but I can't devalue my experiences.
Right.
So I've seen a lot at a young age, and I've been through a lot, and after losing my dad, I just realized, like, all right, Tia, like, we ain't messing around anymore. Like, what are we doing? We're not gonna, like, play around. Whoever's with me is gonna rock with me, and whoever's not, like, that's their loss. They could see me, wish them best, but
yeah,
that's it. I have so much in store. I don't even know.
I'm excited for you.
I'm just kind of going with the flow, and I'm just super excited, and all my trio people are always deep in my heart, and I love STEM.
Yeah. Well, Tia, thank you so much for being on the podcast. We appreciate you sharing your story, and have a great rest of your event here at Trio Day.
Okay, thanks, Juan. I'm gonna go finish coloring my bag.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Hi, my name is Juan.
I'm Isela.
Isela?
Yeah, Isela.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So tell me a little bit about you and the Trio program that you're participating in.
Well, me, sorry. I come from like a Hispanic background family, so my parents are really traditional. When I was 7, my parents got a divorce, and it kind of took a toll on me. My brother and sister actually changed their lives differently for the worse.
I'm sorry to hear that.
They weren't as good, and so I had a little sister to take care of, so I kind of decided to up that. Like, I didn't want my little sister to have to see what I saw.
Yeah.
So I wanted her to see a good influence, and I wanted her to see that she can do anything if she puts her mind to it. So right now, me going to college, and I feel like I do it for my parents, but I also feel like I can do it for my little sister to show her a good role model that college is a good step to go to, to help her succeed in life. So, sorry. So Trio has helped me a lot with focusing into that, like having good support, because I am a first. My parents don't really know anything about that. I have tutoring, and when I need to go talk to my advisor, her name is Trish. She's really good. Like, I can just tell her anything, and I have like really good confidence with her. Like, I confide in her. Like, I believe that she won't go and tell anybody, but like,
it's good to have someone that you trust and someone that you can confide in.
Yes, and I believe Trio is just a really good program, and I'm able to do this kind of stuff right now. It's really interesting. I want to do Congress, like I want to work in the House of Representatives when I get older, when I get my degree and stuff like that. So it's awesome to see that, and it just amazes me.
Yeah, awesome. Well, it's great to hear everything that you're doing. Being part of Trio, what is the thing that you like the most about it?
What do I like the most about it?
Yeah, what do you like
that
the most about Trio?
Like I said, that I'm able just to go and talk to my advisor Trish, and the tutoring as well. Like, we also have computers in our room, and we're able to print stuff out for free, and we're able to like go and get more extra help, like more one-on-one, that if you couldn't do that in class, if your professors are busy and stuff, and that's what I like, just the support that we have there in Trio.
So what does the future hold for you? What do you expect in the next 2, 3, 4 years looking ahead? What does the future hold for you?
I can show you on here. I can actually.
I think like just getting my degree, like that's what my future holds for me right now. What I plan and strive for is my goal. I see that me getting a job right after, and be able to be successful, help my little sister out and stuff. I want to be able to like help my parents out, because they've done a lot for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So is there anything else that you would like to share about your story or your journey so far?
That Trio is great. I got my sister to join it. My sister actually is older than me. She's been through a lot, but she ended up going and got her GED, and then she went to college and some things happened, so she didn't get to finish, but she came back and she moved to Colorado, and I got her to join Trio as well. So I think it's a good program to motivate other people, that there's more programs in school to help you to succeed in school, like, because if you're not involved, like nothing really like helps you in college. You have to have like involvement to understand and get a grip of college, That's why I feel like TRIO is a really good program. I'm also in a program called Catalyst, and it's a leadership program where I'm able to build that kind of skills, and I'm able to interact with other people in the school, like, you know, to get up higher, like, you know, what they say, good interaction with people. Like, if you know them before, then it's good for you in the future. I don't know how to really explain
No, you're good. So thank you very much for sharing your story and sharing your journey so far in TRIO. All right, we have Daniel in the podcast. Daniel, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And now, as I understand, you said you were a student at Front Range Community College.
Yes, I am.
What are you studying?
So I'm studying in the human services sector. I want to be an addictions counselor.
Right on. What inspired you to go to that career path?
Yes, so I myself have 14 years sober, so I've been down that path in the past.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's been a passion of mine to work with addicts over the years. But, you know, it's been in a 12-step setting. So in the counseling setting, you can kind of have that more intimate connection with them, have more time with them, and hopefully plant a bigger seed. So, yeah, it's just following a passion, yes.
Yeah. So how did you find TRIO and all of this journey that you had?
Before I came to Front Range, I had a good friend of mine that was already attending there. And she said, you know, when you go apply, TRIO's a must. I was like, TRIO? What's TRIO? I didn't have a clue at that point.
Yeah.
But, you know, I took her word for it because she said they're an awesome support group. And that was actually the first stop I made into Front Range. And Ginger redirected me to where I needed to go to get ready for college. And she said, when you're done doing that, come back down here. And I was like, oh, yeah. So I raced through as fast as I could to get through my testing and everything I needed to do, and then turned in my TRIO app. And the rest was history. They've been amazing. You know, I went from not knowing who they were to, like, I'd advocate for them in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So.
And it's evident you're on the podcast and you're really talking passionately about the TRIO program. So what is a service, or what is something about TRIO that you really enjoy the most?
So with the student support services, I enjoy having a personal coach who's, I mean, you know, you're supposed to make appointments and set up and do your thing throughout the semester, but gosh, I probably see her like 10, 15 times a semester.
Yeah.
And she's just always there to lend an ear and help you out. And whatever it is, educational struggles, life struggles. You know, I'm a parent of 3 with a co-parent, and life happens sometimes.
Yeah, and life happens, yeah.
It's, you know, it's, I don't know, just that support you get.
Absolutely. So you're serving as a role model for your children.
To
really look at secondary
one
education.
thing I like to show them is that, you know, it's never too late to go back to school. I mean, I went back at 36, and I was scared, but, you know, I knew that this could be the ultimate show to them, that, you know, sometimes one chapter ends, so create a new beginning.
So what do you think is behind that fear for some students that hesitate returning back?
Probably just because it's been so long. You know, it was almost 17 years since I've been in school. So I think that's the thing of it. You know, can I do this? Can I keep up with the homework? You know, will I do all right in lectures? Will I? You know, it's like. Will I be all right around 20-year-old kids? You know, it's like, I don't know. There's just little things, and then but once I got in the groove, I'm like, you know, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah.
And TRIO's definitely been a big support.
That's awesome. And I like how you're talking about TRIO as a support program, how it's really helped you being coach, having an individual coach.
And not so much just for counseling, but you know, the scholarship support. You know, they taught me how to write scholarship letters, and I was like, oh, I thought that's only something smart people did. And they're like, no, you're a college student. You can do that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow, okay, cool. Because, you know, my idea and understanding of the scholarship was pretty limited. I mean, I thought that was people that had good grades and did this and did that. Like, no, you know, you're a parent of 3. Here's other things you can get scholarships for.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow.
So it must have been a mind shift for you when they started talking to you about scholarships, and initially you were like, wait, what?
Me? What? It was a huge change. And now, you know, I've gotten 5 or 6 scholarships since I've been there.
Congratulations.
So it's a big deal.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they definitely changed my mindset.
Absolutely. How many more years do you have left in
I
your
have
study
about
program?
another year, because I average about 6 to 9 credits a semester. So busy life outside of school.
Absolutely. You've got to maintain yourself. You've got to make sure that you're living, but at the same time also focusing on school.
We're doing it. So
That's good.
And then I also work with Trio as a peer mentor.
Oh, so you're a peer mentor for the Trio program as well.
I do the work part-time, kids, and then school. So.
How do you like that position?
You know, it's nice. It's been a good prep for the field of work I'm going into. The caseloads aren't as intense, but, you know, it's good practice, good preparation. And I like having that interaction with other Trio students. So, you know, especially the new ones that come in and say, hey, you know, I don't know how to do college. I'm like, great, I didn't know how to do college when I got here. Let's learn together.
Good.
You know.
Establishing a rapport is so important, and I think that you having your own journey and what you've had to go through to get to college, right? You're able to relate to a lot of those students, or even share with them, like, hey, going to college, this is how it's like.
Yeah.
Right on.
Definitely.
What are some words of wisdom that you want to share with students that are coming up to college, or they're thinking about joining a Trio program, or maybe they're in college right now and they have a lot of doubts?
I would say to them, never sell yourself short. You know, and as far as Trio, you know, if you need that extra support, a little extra safety net, whatever, go for it. You know, the worst they'll say is, no, you're not eligible in some area or something. Right. But other than that, try it.
Yeah.
You know, I was blessed that I'm poor, I'm first generation, so I met all the requirements, but, you know, it could be anyone. Give it a try.
Absolutely.
You don't know until you try. Absolutely. So, and I think the same thing I tell my kids, it's never too late to start over again. So don't doubt yourself.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, thank you very much for being on the podcast.
Of course. Thank you.
Absolutely. What's your name?
Angelica.
Angelica? Juan. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for being on the podcast.
Yeah, of course.
So let's talk a little bit about you and your participation in the Trio programs. How did you find out about Trio?
One day they were in our cafeteria at school, and I was just like, what is this? And every time there's something in the cafeteria, it's something like they're either like the army or colleges or something like that.
Yeah.
But it was Trio. I was like, what is this? And they talked to me and they told me to sign up. And I was like, well, I actually like this and the way they were explaining everything and how they do everything. And I actually got some of my friends to fill out the paper, and then like it was this whole process, and I was like the only one who actually followed through because I was really interested in it, and I was like, I want to do this, I want to do this. I'm in every other club here, I need to do this. Yeah. And I was like really passionate about like joining, and then I got the interview, and then I got accepted, and it was a really like new opportunities and like a new beginning. And I was like, my mom was really excited for me, and like my whole family was like, yeah, this is gonna be great for you, like we know that you do so good in school, and this is just gonna help you even more, and that extra push, that extra support. So
yeah, that's amazing. So you were really encouraged to be part of the Trio program. For our audience, can you tell us what program did you end up joining?
I joined the Trio Upward Bound program with Front Range Community College.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
And how has that journey been so far? How have you liked it?
So I was kind of like late into the year, so it was like the end of the school year, and I started with the summer program, so I didn't go to any of their after school meetings because it was already after like school had ended. And when I started the summer program, it was like going to school every day for 6 weeks, but it was like really cool because we didn't focus on like learning stuff. It was like more about finding yourself and knowing how all this college stuff works, and like that extra insight. And we got like guest speakers, and I was just like, oh, like every day it was like a new experience, a new, like I learned something every day new, and I was like, well, this is really gonna help me, like. And I was really like amazed on how much they like put their time and effort into everything and their lessons. So yeah.
So what are you currently doing right now? Are you still in high school?
Yeah, I'm a junior at Westminster High School.
Right on.
And then right now, so when I applied for Trio, I was like trying to find like what I was passionate about, and like I never knew, but then like I was applying for a spot for apprenticeship through CareerWise, and with Trio I had not been accepted yet, but Olivia still helped me with my process, my interview process, and like I got a job at the Department of Higher Education. I'm an apprentice for COSI, our scholarship initiative, so I work there now.
Yeah.
And I also like I take IB and AP classes now, and I don't think I would have taken it if it wasn't for Trio, because like I was just thinking of taking standard classes, even though I knew I could do the harder classes. But Olivia and like the whole trio group actually like support, like we're just a really big family, and over the summer we connected a lot, especially during our road trip. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So what does the future hold in store for you? Are you planning to go to a 2-year, 4-year college?
So right now I'm planning on getting my associates in early childhood education and psychology, and I'm doing the ASCENT program. So first I'm going to go to Front Range for 2 years, and then once I go to Front Range, I'm thinking of transferring over to UNC to get my teacher's license and all that. So that's my plan for now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast. Is there anything else that you would like to tell the audience? If there's a student that's thinking about joining TRIO, or maybe they're about to go to college, what is something that you would say to them?
I would say that you should definitely look into it and you should try it out. Like, you could, maybe if you're not sure and you don't want to go through the interview process, you can ask someone who's in TRIO or like one of the mentors or directors and be like, can I follow you around, or like have like a little like shadow day, I guess, because they would let you do that. They did that for some of the students this year, and I would definitely do it because I know a lot of people who were in like 8th grade and like coming into our new high school who are super shy, and now I've seen how they transform. They're like really open and they know what they do, and they're just not like all in the corner, and like you feel like you're a part of something. So it's like, I would say do it. Yeah.
How was it to have all these TRIO programs from all around the state be here for this event?
It's like at first you're like, oh, this is just our community, like just ours, and it's something really big. Yeah. And when we did our road trip, we got to meet like other TRIO Upward Bound programs, and we were like, wow, there's more of us. We're like a big family. Like no matter where you're from, we all represent TRIO. So it's like, wow.
That's absolutely how I felt as well when I was in TRIO. So I'm glad you're feeling supported. I'm glad that you're moving forward with your education. Congratulations on your internship.
Thank you
so
much.
I wish many more good things for you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of the podcast.
Of course.
So what's your name?
My name is Annie Kearns.
Annie. Juan.
Nice
to have you on the program.
Thank you. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you end up being in the TRIO programs?
Well, I'm 29 years old.
Okay.
And I guess last year realized that school is kind of important.
Kind of.
Some people can make do without going to school, but
Sure.
I realized that there's like some opportunities that would never be available without some sort of like bachelor's degree. Like that door will always be closed. So I went over to the Colorado Mountain College Brett campus, which is right down the street from where I live, and talked to the just like admissions advisors.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, if you're first generation college student in your family, like check out TRIO, like go talk to Debbie Devine. And so I met with Debbie and got into the TRIO program, and it's been really helpful because I'm out of school since 2007, which is I guess 12 years now almost. And so getting back into the school thing is kind of challenging.
Sure.
Being an adult.
You were adulting during that time,
Yes.
and you were trying to make sure.
I was adulting the entire time.
So tell me a little bit about what career field you're currently pursuing. What is it that you want to do?
So right now, I'm going for a bachelor's in sustainability.
Oh, right. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it is super interesting. It's not really, I don't really have any plans for the future with it. I just am going with that program because the Breckenridge campus only offers a few different bachelor programs, and I tried the business aspect and I realized it wasn't for me.
Okay.
I have no plans of sitting in an office for the rest of my life. And I do actually have plans of owning land and building a sustainable home.
That's
so
awesome.
I hope that'll help me in the long run, and it's at least down my field of interest.
So how have you enjoyed your journey with TRIO so far?
It's been really great. TRIO's been really helpful as far as anytime I need help with anything, whether it's like, I don't know what I'm doing in this financial aid application, or like, I don't know, I need help finding this, or I'm like struggling to find food, you know, they have all the resources, which is really nice. It's kind of like holding your hand through the entire process, which sometimes I need. I like to be guided.
Yeah. So you have individualized coaching, is from what I understand from a lot of the TRIO programs. Is that what you also received?
Yeah, it is very individualized. We sat down and had an interview with each other. Debbie asked me a bunch of questions to find out, I guess, what kind of person I am and what motivates me, and to find out what challenges I might come across in the future doing the school thing. So
right on.
It's been really good.
Awesome. So as you're going through your journey with TRIO, is there a specific memory or a specific event that you want to discuss with us that really stands out in your mind?
I mean, I'm only starting my second semester this semester, so I'm not too deep into it yet. But my very first semester, starting with TRIO, we went on a rafting trip, and it was a lot of fun, good bonding, just meeting new kids and making new friends. It's really nice, especially since I was new in the area when I moved up there. So
right on.
Yeah.
So I know this is going to be a hard question to ask, but 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now, where do you see yourself?
I see myself having my bachelor's degree, doing that, all done, and probably, honestly, hopefully just traveling.
Okay.
Just being out and about.
Well, thank you very much for being on the podcast. We really appreciate it. So what you just listened to was the podcast we recorded for Trio Day in Denver. Again, we were very fortunate to be part of it. So if you ever want to be featured on Let's Talk Trio, get a hold of us through Facebook. You can look for Let's Talk Trio and send us a message. We also have an Instagram account. So shout out to Amelia Castaneda, our producer, who created the Instagram account. And you can look at the pictures and put faces to the stories that are being told here on Let's Talk Trio. Trio Day in Denver was such a unique opportunity for the podcast to capture the stories of the Trio community. Thank you, listeners, for downloading this episode and for your continued support. Be sure to share this episode or tell your friends to follow us on Podbean or our social media accounts. I want to acknowledge Scott Kendall and Roderick Chambers, who are our advisors for Let's Talk Trio, John Russell, our audio engineer and in-house tech support, Amelia Castaneda, our producer and video director and social media manager, and then finally myself, Juan Rivas, the executive producer and host of Let's Talk Trio. Special thanks to the Council for Opportunity in Education, COE, and again, a huge thank you to the Colorado chapter of Aspire, CCA, and the TRIO programs across Colorado. Thank you all so much for listening. We'll catch you on the next episode.